views on the journey of an addict.
Well, the dawn of new hope in addiction treatment, Samarpan. There is a line of great French existential writer, my friend Dushant reminded me yesterday, that it was in the harshest winter that I discovered that there was an invincible summer within me. It was in despair, in the dark night of despair, that the first ray of light descended on me. Call it grace, call it miracle. Having hit the rock bottom, having been very successful, having had back-to-back hits, and being talked about as the new Zafar Terrible of the film industry, who's going to steer the film industry into sparkling new spaces, I discovered that nothing fails like success. Having touched the peak of the first mountain of your personal goal, I discovered that there was gnawing emptiness. As John Steinbeck said, that there was, you're well fed but you're still hungry. You're warm but you still shiver. You're loved but you still look for love with a begging bowl outside. Something was missing, and that made me hit the bottom. Now I had, from the struggling young boy who had barely means to keep the wolf away from the door with a little girl like Pooja, my first wife, I had become a very successful man, and I had the means to destroy myself. I had the means, and I had the applause in the auditorium. Even when I got drunk and I behaved obnoxiously, people put up with me because I was a money-generating machine. So nothing failed as success. But then one day, when my daughter, second daughter, Shaheen was born, I came home drunk, having celebrated. And when I carried my child in my arm, I just felt that she turned her face away from me out of revulsion because my mouth stank. That's what I believed. And that was a moment of grace. After that, it's 34 years I've not touched a drop of alcohol. And then I set off on a journey. Cold turkey, I did not go to AA. I didn't go to a doctor. I felt that the powers that birthed me must have gifted me with everything that I have is there within me. I don't need to reach out. But that doesn't mean that somebody else should not. I do not want to put myself as a model and say that emulate me. But I walked this path alone. And then I birthed a film called Daddy, in which my darling Pooja made her foray at the age of 17. 16, 17. 17. And then we began shooting for Daddy, and I had given up drinking, and I proclaimed to the world that I had given up drinking. And while we were shooting for Daddy, one night after my actors had gone, I used to give them drinks and not drink myself, because the sight of people drinking was still very comforting. And Pooja, a 17-year-old girl, having memorized her lines and rehearsed with her father for the next day, went to sleep. My wife was away, and I had announced to the world that I've given up drinking. And while I was putting the bottles away, I said to myself, nobody will know if I take a drink or two. I'm stressed out. Why not have a drink or two? The moment I said that, a voice within me erupted and said, you can lie to the world, you can lie to your little girl who's there, but how will you lie to yourself? And that was the day I was scorched from inside. And then I discovered what the great sage of India, Buddha, said, be a light unto yourself, Swayam Pramana, Swayam Prakasha. It's only when it burns inside of you, you can bring the best of bottles of alcohol. I wouldn't touch it. But still today I have nightmares that I've hit the bottle again and I've turned everything that I've done to ashes. But the irony that I think Pooja will talk about is that the child who frees the fictitious daddy, the movie daddy of his alcohol addiction, years later herself became an alcoholic. That's another story. So that's the fictitious life which we weave on the screen and give you a happy ending. But then there is real life. And real life is hard, bitter, unforgiving. And at every curve of your life, you must remind yourself that if an alcoholic like me, I'm 34 years sober, if I touch a glass of beer now, I will be back where I started from. I'm delighted to see a quantum leap like this being taken here. It's a quantum leap. And after Martin came with Rahul to my house, I discovered that things are changing. Something has been fast-tracked in the last 2 years but there is a pandemic of despair. And I wonder, Martin, how are we going to deal with this growing despair that is there in people? There's a war out there in Ukraine. The world leaders have come down on their knees. Everything is in shambles. Our belief systems are scrambled. Our stories are not working. The WhatsApp inspiring messages wither away like the morning dew drop. How the hell are you going to save that individual who's biologically predisposed towards substance abuse? As doctor said, that he is not a depraved human being. He is not an inferior human being. He is one of us. He can't deal with the despair. And so he takes to substance abuse, his self-medication. And will you have the compassion to look at him with that eye? Will you educate the world around him yourself? To look at him with a different eye? That these are the questions that will gnaw all of us. But here in the outskirts of Pune, when you start a thing like this, it's an oasis in a desert. And I only wish you the best, and I hope that you grow and you grow. But the truth is that truth does not require PR machinery. It's like fire. It spreads on its own. Why did Rahul seek me and Pooja out? Not because we are celebrities who tantalize you with our movies for some time. It's because we have suffered and climbed this mountain of sobriety, aware that any time we could fall down and be back to ground zero. So it's what we have lived. So great things come out of human suffering. Great things. The entire culture is born out of the womb of suffering. It is suffering that gives birth to great movements. As they say that when a grain of sand gets into an oyster, the oyster, in order to escape from that pain, turns it into a pearl. Its intention is not to make the pearl, but to escape from the pain. So I think Samarpan comes out of your pain. It comes out of your pain. It's a beautiful pearl. It's for the world to marvel at, but it was born in suffering. It was born in the dark night of despair. So the answers will come from despair, not from bogus hopes, not from sound bites which are whipped up by politicians on the hour, by the hour. They insulate you from the reality. But confronting the hard reality, you may perhaps have a chance to usher in a new dawn. I congratulate you all for doing this. May you have more power to create more such oases all around the country. Thank you very much.